Welcome back to another episode of The Ali Show, a weekly podcast from Bectran, where we dive deep into the real challenges faced by credit and AR professionals in the B2B world and bring you actionable insights straight from expert in finance and credit management. I'm Ali Kidwai, Senior Manager of Product and Implementation here at Bectran. As part of this role, I lead our product strategy and growth, as well as work closely with our customers and partners. This episode is actually a special two-part series. This is part one, and I'm thrilled to be sitting here today with one of our most important partners, the law offices of MAK.
Why don't you guys introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Robert Blackstad. I'm the Chief Investigative Officer here, responsible for handling our investigations and searching for people and assets, and I run a team of collectors.
I'm Jason Kirkorsky. I am one of the attorneys here with the firm and work closely with our team of investigators, our collectors, and supervise our legal department.
Very nice. So I guess just to give you guys a background, we have known MAK since about close to 2 years. Feels like a lifetime though. We have a lot of mutual clients, very large customers in the construction space, building products, media, food. We work with them in the capacity of sharing data so that we can transfer, distressed accounts to them so that they can start the investigation as well as the legal process. So that's why we're here today. The topic for discussion today is how we can maximize debt recovery and what legal strategies as well as investigative strategies we should use or companies should use so that they can maximize their debt recovery. So we'll get right into that. I guess the first question is, customers would be interested to know is when should they contact you or when should they hire you guys? When should they place accounts with you? Is there some, I assume there is no one-size-fits-all strategy for that. And then once they do place an account with you, what are some of the first steps that you guys do to start the process and what, how you guys help?
Sure. As far as hard, fast rules about it, there's really not. I think our clients are all over the place. There are some that place when an account is delinquent a certain amount of days, whether that's 60 days or 90 days or what have you, regardless of communication or what's going on with the debtor, they'll say, I want to transfer this over, I haven't gotten anything. And then there are some clients that do it mostly on feel, when they feel they've done enough or they feel they've given enough opportunity. That's typically what we see from our clients. My point of view is you send it to us when you're done, when you've exhausted all of your efforts, when you've done everything that you can do. And I like to say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And if you have made the phone calls, you've sent the emails, you've sent all the invoices, they haven't responded multiple times, there's nothing more you can do with that. You need the help of a professional, and that's where we come in.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think to give a little bit more of a background as to why our clients come to us and the services that we provide, it's important to understand the model and the structure that we've built here. So we are a full service collection law firm. And what that means is we can act in all stages of the collection process. So as Robert was saying, once it is determined that a client has exhausted their in-house efforts and they need to outsource and come to us as experts to help recover any debts that they're owed on an account, they come to us and we have the ability we conduct our investigations. Robert and his team will start there. We have the ability to pursue non-legal efforts to collect on an account. And if we get to a point where we're not able to make anything voluntary happen, we have the ability to then go make it a seamless approach right into the legal process, where then we can file a suit, potentially get a judgment, then enforce that judgment. In other words, do what we would call involuntary payments. And there's many different tools there. And the sooner we get accounts, the better, the likelihood, the higher the likelihood of success is. And as Robert said, there's really no one fit for all. It can depend on the different industry. It can depend on the structure of the client. Some clients will have a centralized credit operation where they're making credit decisions and enforcing protocols centrally that all of their entire company will follow. Some have a decentralized model where they have branches with individual credit managers who make their own calls and do things differently. What we say is, once the efforts have been exhausted, the data across the industry shows that the sooner we can get involved, the better chance we have at recovering what's owed to our clients.
Yeah, and we've talked about this numerous times with our clients, and to Jason's point, we need to get accounts in quicker.
Yeah.
And the analogy I use is 10 inches of money and 2 feet of bills. And we want to be there for that 10 inches of money. And the quicker that we get an account, the more likely it is that we're going to collect that.
Okay. So walk me, at a very high level, let's say that they place an account with you, right? Let's say, Ali's Roofing is now, blown all his money on gambling, and, now, not exactly very believable, but that's
Really?
But yeah, let's say that gets placed by a large, building, or material distributor, one of our mutual clients. We won't take the name, but what would you guys do? At a very high level, just so that our audience can understand, what you start doing and where you come in.
Yeah, from a high level standpoint, and then Robert can jump in on here too. The account comes to us, it goes through our intake process. There's a bunch of initial scrubs and investigations that we do on it to qualify the account. Robert can touch on that in more detail, but we'll start working it. And we are an extension of our clients. We are partners with them on this. And as you mentioned, we share clients that are large national companies that operate all over the country, and it's important for us. They have cultivated relationships with their customers that go back many, many years. It's important for us to come in. We try to be problem solvers, not problem makers. We want to preserve the relationships, if possible. And we do our best to, make sure we're recovering funds, working with the debtors, and doing what we can to help them get their accounts to current and up to date. And if it gets to a point where that's not possible, then we have to use other avenues. But typically first it'll come in, we'll utilize, unless if a client tells us otherwise, we'll go non-legal route, see if we can make something happen there. If not, then we can transfer it over and go legal on it, and use various legal enforcement methods to get those. So Robert can kind of jump in here.
Yeah.
Sure. And to start with, we want to make sure that all of the information that we have is correct, even from the client. The credit application, is the entity that the debtor put on there the correct entity? Has that changed at all? So we're researching that, making sure that we have the personal guarantor in there, if there's any spouses, things like that. So we're immediately making sure that the account is set up appropriately, that we understand exactly who we're going after and what we're going to do. Thereafter, we run some scrubs. We take a look at their credit score, business profile score, verify various addresses, phone numbers, things like that. And the collector just puts it on the path of they are attempting to collect through various means, as well as gaining intelligence on the debtor, should we need to go legal on it later on.
Okay. I guess we'll have to do another episode on that, but one of the things that, we were talking about is how both of, the three of us or both of our companies together can advise our clients on, just making sure that they have the right documentation as well, so that, once it gets to you, it makes your job easier, because, you want to obviously minimize that risk. But that's a different podcast. I'm curious what you said about legal versus non-legal approaches. Could you, educate the audience on what that means? I mean, legal, obviously, I'm sure everybody would know, you'd file a lawsuit or you'd go to court to collect on it, but what are non-legal avenues and how does that work?
Sure, non-legal avenues are traditional methods of collection. So at a third-party level, third-party collection for the law firm, we're making calls, we're doing the things that that a collection agency would do while simultaneously gaining intelligence on the debtor for various assets and whatnot if needed. What gives us a competitive advantage is with the investigations and coming from a law firm, we carry a bigger stick. You take a look if, objectively, if you received a letter from a collection agency and you received a letter from a collection law firm, which one would hold more weight with you? Well, of course, the law firm would.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh my gosh, this could go to the next level very easily. So we carry a bigger stick from that standpoint. We make calls, we find other avenues of contacting the debtor, and we are pushing the debtor for payment and building the case at the same time if needed.
Okay.
Yeah, so when it comes in, and again, it very much so depends on the client and the industry, but our goal is we will make efforts, our collectors and Robert's team will do their investigation, and they'll make efforts to try to work out a voluntary arrangement, whether it's a payment plan, whether it is, just as long as we're communicating and that we feel that the debtor is aware of the circumstances, they know that they need to take, they're going to have to take care of their account at some point. We'll try to work something out. If that's unsuccessful, we then can go the legal route, which you started to mention.
Yeah.
And what's important to understand with that is, when you go the legal route and you start to file lawsuits and you're involving courts, there are costs associated with that. There's filing fees, service of process, things like that. And when you're talking about a large national client who has high volume, does a high volume of business, and they have a high volume of collection accounts, those legal costs can add up very quickly. And what we try to do is we try to limit the exposure that they're making in terms of their investment into that legal route. So if we can settle something, if we can resolve something before we have to go out and file a lawsuit and get the courts involved, then that's what we want to do, because then our clients are not having to pay the costs that are associated with that. And we will work with our clients to develop a strategy for going legal in terms of budgeting. We'll look at future planning, what kind of appetite they have for costs. It's maybe a company's on an acquisition spree and they are limiting the budgeting that they want to utilize for pursuing legal collection accounts. We'll set threshold amounts. If an amount, if an account is not over $5,000 maybe, for some clients it could be less, it could be more. Might not make sense to go legal because the costs associated might not provide enough upside to paying the expense of going legal. So we look at many things to classify an account as suit worthy or not suit worthy. That could be different assets that Robert and his team would discover through their efforts. It could be whether a debtor's company is operating and there's cash flow. If there's not, it could be something age of the owners of the company. Whether they're likely to get back into the business, whether there's a chance things could improve for them. All of those kind of things we will take into account before we just go out and sue on an account and which would cost our clients that money. So, if there's a business out there that owes one of our clients money and they're no longer operating, we can go out and we can file a lawsuit, get a judgment, cost money, and, if there's no source of recovery, all we have is that white piece of paper, and it's not going to automatically turn itself into green. So we want to make sure that there's a
it makes sense.
Potential avenue for recovery before we just start going out there and filing lawsuits, and we work with our clients to establish those boundaries.
I guess one of the things, our audience would, or I guess starting with me and the audience would like to understand is your job, Mr. Robert. I'm very interested in that. From an investigation standpoint, can you just sort of explain what exactly you do, what your day-to-day looks like, how you help the firm and the clients, and then some of the crazy stuff you've seen?
Sure. I guide the collectors and investigators into, point them in different avenues of how to gain information. I'm always looking for new ways to gain the debtor's attention or new ways to find assets. There's always new things that are coming up. Things that I do on a daily basis, I give them ways that they can collect. I ask them to take a look at things. I help them in their investigative approach. I analyze data with them. We talked before about digital footprint, things like that the debtor might be putting out there to see what is there. Social media has become huge, obviously, as you know.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah. And it's just a wealth of information that's there. And a lot of people, they want to post what they're doing. They want to post all the great and wonderful things they're doing, and we want to see some of that stuff. I want to, similar cases, great things that you'll see sometimes. You have a husband and wife. This is a specific case where husband was a contractor. He didn't pay his bills, and we had a judgment against him and his wife. And he was hiding money, doing some various things, and he took a lovely picture with his wife. And on there it said, Phoenix Children's Hospital. Oh, she's a nurse. Great, well, here's my garnishment. But if I'm not looking for any of that stuff, I'm not going to know. And so that's a fun little case where you zoom in on that, you go, oh, I understand, that's PCH. We're going to send a garnishment over there for her. That's fun stuff. Crazy things that I've seen are, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, I will say that. Really any exes, but the one specific case, a ex-wife in a very small town in another state, and the husband really, the guy was slimy, no other way to put it. He was hiding things all the time. Couldn't find any money on him. Come to find out, get a hold of the ex-wife. She says, listen, this guy has a bunch of precious metals, silver, gold, stuff like that. And he hides it in the bottom floorboard under the sink. So there was a writ of execution that was done in this state. A small county sheriff comes out there, and the guy was prepared. He's like, I don't have anything here. You're not going to get anything. Told the sheriff exactly where it was. Guy walks right over to the floorboard, pops it off, sees all the stuff in there, takes it all in. So that was a great hit. The precious metals thing has come up numerous times when we do a bank garnishment. In addition to looking for any funds that are being held in a bank account, you also can get their safety deposit box, and it puts a hold on their safety deposit box. 99 times out of 100, there's nothing in there. It's usually insurance paperwork or important documents typically in there. And we opened a box one time, and it was full of silver and gold. Full. And said, okay, we took it all in and had to get it to the Maricopa County Sheriff and did a sale on it. And it was really lucrative for us, but we were surprised at it. And of course, the debtor came in and said something to the effect of, well, this was left to me via inheritance. And we were, we're understanding as well. We want to be, we want to do the right things. Listen, if you have some kind of will or something that says that here are these things that they were given, he said they were given to his children. They weren't his. Okay, well, show us something in a will. Well, that doesn't exist. Well, then these coins don't exist in your possession. So we executed on that. And
you probably heard a lot of stories in your lifetime. like a lot of stories I can imagine, and sort of have to navigate through like what is truth and what is not.
Oh yeah, we've had early on in this business, we as an investigator, we've done some fun things as well. And we would, if they were local debtors, we would go out to their property and physically do asset and liability investigations. Now let me tell you how this was effective, because if I'm going around with a camera, they want to start asking me questions. Who are you? What are you here for? What are you doing? And I tell them exactly what I'm doing. I'm a licensed private investigator. I'm doing an investigation here. I'm looking for assets and liabilities. Is this all yours? I start asking questions. And they're like, who's the one that hired you for that? And so then I'll give them the phone number of the collector in the office. They call up right away. What is this person doing out here? Listen, you're not responding to us. We're going to come. We're coming to you directly. Even doing door knocks and saying, knock, knock. Where's the money? We've done that. Those are fun cases that we have. People that have trying to manipulate, we had a guy who was a master, like incredible. He came up with addresses that did not exist. And you would map the address. You'd be like, it's on this small corner here of where you think he owns something, and it was nothing. But he had tons of them, like not 1, 2, or 3, like hundreds and hundreds of them. And he owed, I don't know how many people. I mean, it was ridiculous. He owned a bus company and would schedule buses for churches, but big tours and whatnot, and get upfront money from them and just not show up at the bus. Great money-making concept, but he was rough. I mean, he eventually passed away, and obviously all the debt went away with that too. But I mean, that guy was living on the edge like nobody's business.
That's crazy.
I also had a debtor that I was going after who was in California, Incline, California, I think it was, and owed a bunch of money for garage doors. Him and his partner couldn't pay the bill. Owed numerous creditors and was feeling a lot of pressure. After a certain amount of time, he stopped communicating, didn't know what was going on. Come to find out that he locked his partner in the business and set the business on fire. Tried to kill his partner. I mean, that's a little crazy.
Yeah.
And tried to collect insurance money on the building. Well, that didn't work out for him. So he went to jail. His partner got away scot-free, thank God, and didn't die. And but unfortunately, our client didn't get paid in that one.
You should write a book, Robert. Now about you, Mr. Jason. So I guess we did touch a bit of about your job, but if you could tell us, sort of, what your day-to-day is like. I mean, that's one. What kind of documents do you need for the legal process? Mm-hmm. What do you see, like customers doing, and how do you build your case? And I guess how do you win cases? I'm assuming you win cases.
Yep.
And finally, what would you say? I mean, I guess that's for both of you, but what would you say would be strategies to advise our mutual customers to make sure that they prevent accumulating bad debt, right? Because obviously, the happy scenarios, we don't have to do this, but obviously this will always happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not always as exciting as Robert's area. Once I get involved, and
a lot of paperwork I saw on your office.
A lot of paperwork, but once I get involved and the courts are involved, we're following some very thorough rules and court procedures, and we're appearing in front of judges. And we want to make sure we have a good reputation with them. So, there are strategies that we can use, and, there are mechanisms we can use within the court that sometimes can get fun and exciting. But they don't work out the way Roberts do all the time. If the account can't be worked out without going legal, it comes to us. Once it's placed with us, we really work with our clients to try to get all the documents and records that we need up front. So, we're looking for things like a credit application, the personal guarantee.
We're talking about that, yeah.
We're looking for account statements, invoices, things like that. When our clients place an account and they say, okay, I'm owed X amount of dollars, we have to be able to prove that up to the court. So we can't just go to court and say they're owed this. We have to be able to show proof that there was material delivered, equipment rented, things like that. So we're going to have all the backup documentation to prove that up. And from there, we're going to file our lawsuit. And at that point, it can go several different ways. So once a lawsuit's filed, if we have a debtor or a defendant in the case who fails to make an appearance, fails to answer the complaint, it can go by way of default. And what that means is we basically go to court, appear in front of a judge, and just show the judge that we've done some due diligence on this, and there's nobody there to defend themselves. And the judge says, okay, and we get what's called a default judgment. And then we can go to enforcing that. Now, and I know in a bit we'll talk more about trends, but the other way it can go, and we see this quite a bit in the construction and equipment rental area, is that a business, if they're operating, and doing well, they're going to have an attorney that represents them. So they are going to respond to that lawsuit. They're going to answer it. And they're going to have a bunch of reasons why they haven't paid it, why they don't owe it.
Yeah, stories.
Yep, maybe they're going to say, well, I did pay it. And we're going to...
We get that a lot, actually.
Right.
I mean, not to interrupt you, but we get that a lot. It's like, oh, I paid it. Like our customers, because I see like email responses for like the collection software. Mm-hmm. It's, oh, I paid it. We just can't find it.
Yeah, and we say, okay, well, show us. Or they say, well, your client was supposed to issue a credit on this, or there's some reason. Yeah. And we're going to ask them to provide some kind of records to prove that. And sometimes sometimes things are forged. Sometimes wires are crossed. Sometimes there might have been some salesperson with the company that sold a bunch of material, probably went a little rogue, maybe tried to say he was going to give some discounts or something that he wasn't authorized to do, and they no longer work for that company anymore. And now it's kind of a matter of he said, she said, and we will go back to our clients and try to come up with some kind of reasonable solution and see if we can work something out. If we can't seem to reach any kind of compromise through that initial stage of the lawsuit, then it will continue into the litigation phase, and it would then be contested litigation. There might be things like if we have credit apps and personal guarantees, where there are arguments as to who signed that personal guarantee.
Signature authentication we were talking about earlier.
Right, and you could have an owner of a business who personally guaranteed something and personally guaranteed one of the accounts, and he says, well, my secretary did that, and I didn't sign that, and my secretary was not authorized to sign that. And then we would be, in some scenarios, that owner might not be telling us the truth. And it would be up to us to show that to the court. So we could get into scenarios where we are then analyzing handwriting and signatures. We're going out and we're finding public records, recorded documents.
Talking about that yesterday. You have a handwriting guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll go out and we'll find a recorded document where that owner had signed it, and we're going to compare the signature and see if it matches. Right. And we can have handwriting experts come in, and we can put them bring them to court, put them on the stand as an expert witness, and they can analyze the veracity of the signature. They'll look at things like pressure of the pen, writing style, many things like that. So the collection industry over the years has changed, and Robert has seen that a lot on his side of it, and we see that a lot on our side. These days, since the pandemic, digital credit applications and digital personal guarantees have become major in the industry. And that is a continuing trend that we're seeing. A lot of our clients are utilizing digital means for these. And that brings up the issue of proving a digital signature. And if that's sent over, some businesses may just put it in a PDF, send it over, and you can sign it right on your phone, but there's no true authentication behind that. And that would be very difficult if somebody claimed, I did not sign that. We really have no means to say that they're lying or they're not. So we recommend that our clients use signature verification platforms like Bectran that provide some kind of authentication behind that signature. And there's many different ways that can be done. And this is somewhat of a new area of law. And courts are all over the board. Could depend on the level of court, could depend on the state. Different courts are willing to accept certain means of authentication. Others are looking for more. And, we're really looking for what the gold standard is. And, one day, maybe there'll be some settled law where we have, we know for certain that this will do it. And until then, we just know, the best way of doing it is, we get copies of driver's license or the system they're using will require that when they're signing it. There's two-factor authentication that helps, IP addresses, geographical metadata that can go behind it, things like that, and that we can then bring to the court and show, this owner was the one who signed it, and they are not being truthful. So, we get to that point. Not many of our legal collection accounts end up going to trial. A lot of the times we get to this point and,
they get scared.
They know that we got them dead to rights. Or other times we say, the companies that we represent, and they're large companies. Sometimes wires get crossed. Sometimes something was paid. It went to accounting. It didn't get reported right back to the credit department, and we have to work with our client and do that. We got to connect the dots and help them. And if that's the case, then we're dismissing lawsuits and hoping we're not responsible for opposing attorney fees, things like that. So, it's important that we have all the accurate information, that we have all the information, and that we pay attention to detail.
Okay. I want to thank both of you, really appreciate it. I learned a lot about your job, Robert, which I actually didn't know, and obviously a lot about the business, and I'm sure our audience would appreciate it too. I tune in every Friday for a new episode, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for having us.
See you next time.
This is a special two-part series. In part 2, we dive deeper into the strategies to help B2B credit managers maximize debt recovery. Thanks for being here. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more industry insights. Thank you.